I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to our friend Alex, who is going to tell us a little bit about staying inspired and trying to start making games as an artist. So please, digital round of applause.
Hello everyone, my name is Alex Benson. I'm a visual artist and animator who has recently been making games for funsies through PIGSquad. And here's some of the games that I've made. So like I said, I've been involved in making games for not long at all, like a year and a half. And I was afraid to do so for even longer due to my lack of experience and my lack of programming knowledge. So I'm hoping to encourage any visual artists watching to give it a shot, get involved, and start making games in their own way. Yeah, I think that sums it up. All right, so I thought I would kind of go through some of the common negative thoughts I was telling myself for the reasons I couldn't start making games, or I'm not the right person to start making games, and just see if any of this is relatable to you, and kind of talk through those. All right, so thought number one, you don't have the brain for programming. You don't have a technical mind. You've tried programming. It just doesn't make sense to you. It never will. It's just not in the cards. You make pretty pictures. You don't have the brain for writing code. So whether or not this one is true, you never know. You might surprise yourself once you kind of give it a chance. But it's fine if it's true. It's totally fine if you don't know how to program. And there are entire roles within games where you don't need to code at all. Having an understanding of generally how it works helps a lot, but that's very different. And there are so many tools now for making games without knowing how to code. There are so many, and each year more and more come out, and it just becomes more and more easier on-ramp into doing this stuff, even if you're just known for making pretty pictures. It's okay. The pressure's off. You don't have to know how to program. That's totally fine. Another really common negative thought, I think, is it's too late for me. I'm too old. I should have studied this in college. I should have gotten a formal education in this somehow. That train has left the station. You know, look around me. There's all these bright young college kids totally killing it. So, you know, I missed my chance. Also incredibly untrue. I think you can find so many stories of mid-career artists beginning to make games and their experience and their age being better for it and actually informing the game in a really great way. So I think there's just a lot of cases where your experience in another field or your age or your just life perspective can actually be a strength and can be a benefit in this world. All right, I wanted to sit down again. I think it's important to acknowledge how young of an industry and an art form video games are. Because when was the first actual commercial video game made or released? Was the 70s, right? So if you think about it that way, video games as an industry, as an art form, as a medium, are younger than all their counterparts. It's younger than pop music. It's younger than movies. It's definitely younger than cartooning and comic strips and animation, traditional animation. I mean, you name it. My point is that video games is such a young world, and I think we can get really caught up in the rules or the kind of standards of the format when really those rules and those standards themselves are very young, and a lot of those were created or taken as gospel from things that are 20, 30, 40 years old. So a lot's changed, and I think that's a good thing. I think there's a lot more freedom in making video games than we initially realize. So I got my notes here. I'm not ashamed. I'm still figuring out what I'm going to say. But my point is just, if anyone's telling you that you're not making games the right way, or what you're doing is not technically a game, that stuff is all very much in the works still. There's nothing set in stone. And your games are going to look and feel different because of where you come from and because of where you've been and what you've been doing for years than anyone else. And I think that's really cool. So I would say lean into that. Basically, I would call this section inspiration and process. And the first thing I would say is use your old lens of thinking and working as your new lens of thinking and working in games. So I would say, sure, there's things you need to learn about the way games are different, but make a game like you make blank. Fill in the blank with your photography, your plays, your paintings, your drawings, whatever it is. Make a game how you make those things. So yeah, start by taking two steps to the left of what you normally do. And I would say simplify your notion of a game into a game is just an interactive form of art. So what is an interactive form of what you always do? No matter how small it is, I think it's really good to just do it and get it out there. Because you're going to learn a ton, and if you integrate yourself into the community, you're going to get a lot of momentum and a lot of support that'll help you go to the next one. So yeah, bring your fresh take. Mix up the game world with your unique skill sets and talents and experiences and perspective, because that's what it needs right now. It like I said, it's a little baby industry, and we need people like you who come from different places to mix it up and add in some flavor. So let's talk about ways in. I think the super important thing to call out is that there's kind of two lanes to the ways in. Lane 1 is solo, and lane 2 is with teammates. And I think they're both super valuable. I think you should experience both. Because if you are feeling especially shy right now, and you really just want to kind of make games in a safe corner, that's okay. That's an okay way to feel right now. That's totally fine. There's a ton of tools and programs and templates. I don't think there's any shame in using these, especially when you're learning, and I think they kind of fall under the category of why would I reinvent the wheel. So then the other way in, not solo, is with other people in a community, and I think it's really important to do both. I think whether you start solo or you start on teams, I think it's really important to experience both lanes. So, when game jams are starting, just write to people that you really appreciate and you really enjoy their work. I just think you can really learn a lot from working with other people who are really good at things you're not good at. And every time I've collaborated with people, I've come out the other end a lot stronger, I think. And with a new friend, which is awesome too. But even below those two, even if making something solo sounds scary, making something with teammates sounds scary, that's still okay. I think there's still a softer way in, basically. And I think that's just joining the community, not worrying about making stuff so much, but showing what you would make, and supporting everyone who is making things. I've seen so many people kind of show what they're capable of by doing little mock-ups. They're a visual artist, they're an illustrator or an animator or whatever, and they just show a looping GIF of the game that they would like to make, or a static drawing of the game they would make if they had, some awesome programmer friends or whatever. And I think that's a really cool way in. I love when people do that. Don't forget about the value of just what you do already, and just showing people what you do already, and showing people your ideas. I think ideas are really valuable too. And that's a great way to make friends, and that's a great way to start conversations. I'm just going to read this one because I wrote it down better than I can just say it off the cuff. Build a body of work that showcases your perspective, your style, your personality, all the things that make you different and make your games and your non-game art special. Think of the things that you make as beacons to the world. They're showing this is the type of thing I want to continue making. And I think that honesty is really important, especially when you're looking for collaborators. And I think the more honest you are in terms of the things you're putting out there, the more authentic partnerships you'll get, and the more authentic connections you'll have with people over your games and your art. The ball got lost. I have to go get it. So yeah, honestly, and I'm not even saying this because I'm doing this talk for PIGSquad. This is not a sponsored message or anything, but I really think, if you're here and you're listening to me yammer on, and these thoughts are feeling relatable to you, I really recommend you start in PIGSquad, and you start making friends and having conversations with PIGSquad members, and maybe eventually doing a game jam with some of us. I really think that PIGSquad is the best place on the internet or otherwise to make games in a non-competitive, very friendly and supportive community. And I think when you have those factors behind you, what you make is going to be stronger and more authentic. And you know what? If any of this spoke to you, or if you have any more questions, or even if you disagree with me and you wanna talk some more, reach out to me, message me. I'm just Alex Benson on Instagram and on Twitter. So whatever you like most, just message me. Because like I said, I'm still pretty early on in my journey. And I'm still learning a lot. So, if we can learn from each other, that's awesome. I don't know. I hope this could maybe help you skip over some of the harder points of starting. I hope you're able to fast forward through some of the self-doubt and insecurities that happen when you're trying a new thing, especially a new thing as complex as video games. I mean, geez Louise. I really hope you're able to start making games. That's it. I'm really excited about it as an art form. I think video games are one of the most exciting art forms happening right now, and it's evolving and changing so quickly. And I think the more clever minds we can get in here on a ground level, on a community level, the better the whole medium will be. So welcome. We're really glad to have you, and we're so excited to see what you make. If what I'm saying kind of connected with you in any way, this book says it in a lot better and stronger way, for sure. It's called Rise of the Video Game Zinesters: How Freaks, Normals, Amateurs, Artists, Dreamers, Dropouts, Queers, Housewives, and People Like You are Taking Back an Art Form, by Anna Anthropy.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex. Everybody, please give Alex a round of applause. It's really, really cool. I think a lot of these topics really relate to Chell's talk, which we'll be hearing very shortly. And a lot of good questions in here. Also, another point here is all these pictures going on up here. These are all just photos of a big percentage of these people showed up to these events for their first time. And are working with people in a new jam. A lot of people that are shown in these pictures giving a presentation are people that have been coming for a little while and started making games or started sharing their games and said, hey, look what I can do. And then they said, hey, I want to give a presentation about this. And that's how they are also here at Talent Talks. We had a really good question about just like, hey, how do people get into a game jam to start this process? And how do people make sure to how can they make a game with a full-time job? And there were a lot of great answers in the chat here around just making sure that you keep your scope very, very small, make a small game, join up with other teammates to share the load. Some people recommend taking a day off work and making it a big thing for yourself. That can help as well. There's a lot of really, really good ideas out there and a lot of really good ways and a lot of really experienced people who you can work with to make a game jam happen if you want to get started. So I thought that was really cool for people talking about how you can get started and get into making games. Very relevant to this presentation. And yeah, go hang out with Alex. He's great. Thank you so much, Alex.